Hi all, welcome to today's session on nature of supply and levy of GST, more specifically on normal levy under GST on normal levy. Before we getting into any discussion on levy of GST, let's first make our understanding towards nature of supply. I do agree with you. Nature of supply is not part or parcel of your CGST Act. It is something to do with IGST Act. But when a clear thought process goes in determining taxability, first there has to be a supply. Then, in fact, you will determine something called as place of supply. Third, you will ask yourself, this supply plus place of supply is going to trigger me a intrastate supply or a interstate supply. Having drawn lines on that, then your whole focus will change whether it is liable under forward charge mechanism or liable under reverse charge mechanism. So, in the next 1 hour or so, we will try and understand how whether a supply is treated as an interstate supply or an intrastate supply, how the decision is made. Plus, we will also discuss about levy of GST, the levy point, when will be levied, when GST will be levied. So, to start with, Section 7, Section 8 and Section 9 of IGST Act discuss about a topic called as nature of supply. Having said supply, supply can be broadly classified only into two things, which all of us know: interstate supply, intrastate supply. But the most important question is when something will be treated as interstate supply, when something will be treated as intrastate supply. That is the question. For which, whether it is an interstate supply or an intrastate supply, Section 7 discuss about when a transaction would be treated as an interstate supply. Similarly, Section 8 discuss about when a transaction would be discussed as intrastate supply. Of course, Section 9 discuss about certain things happens inside your waters, territorial waters, where like land you don't have the physical boundary. I'm sure when you would have crossed between states, when you cross from Tamil Nadu to Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu to Kerala, Tamil Nadu to Karnataka, we have a physical border. We have something called as check post. This state, that state, police officers will be there. There would be a gap of 4 kilometers, and you will verbatim exit one state and make an entry to the other state. So, in a land mass, that physical bifurcation is possible. In a territorial waters, in waters, this waters belongs to Andhra Pradesh, this water belongs to Kerala, this water belongs to Tamil Nadu, this water belongs to Karnataka. Not possible. How decisions has to be taken in case of territorial waters is handled by Section 9. 7, interstate supply. 8, intrastate supply. Certain decision makings in case of territorial waters handled by 9. We'll make our further discussions on Section 7. Section 7 have 5 subclauses, wherein which the first subclause discuss about interstate supply of goods. The third subclause discuss about interstate supply of services. In fact, we have merged both subclauses. You can ask me, then what subclause 2 and subclause 4 discuss and 5 discuss? Subclause 2 discuss about in case of import of goods, import of services. Subclause 4 discuss about, as usual. See, these are all one goods, import of goods, another one is import of services. So if you carefully understand transaction in connection with goods, one subclass. Transaction in connection with services, another subclass. Import of goods, one subclass. Import of services, subclass. Then what is the last subclass? export of goods, and certain other special transactions, supplies to SEZ. So that way, comfortably it will end. So coming back here, having introduced this section, section 7, subsection 1 and subsection 3 makes a plain understanding. If location of supplier and place of supply. See, I'm sure all of you know this topic. I'm sure all of you learned it earlier, but I am not sure. Have you learned it this way? Because many times I come across students who come out and say, very simple, sir, location of supplier and location of recipient. If two different state, interstate. If same state, intrastate. Wrong. Wrong. Check section 7. As far as section 7 is concerned, location of supplier and place of supply. Location of supplier and place of supply. If location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in two different states, two different union territory, a state and a union territory, then yes, it will be treated as a interstate supply. I am sure I'm able to listen to you. How I will know place of supply? Good. If it is goods, then go determine your place of supply as per section 10 of IGST Act. If it is services, go determine your place of supply as per section 12 of IGST. So, location of supplier of goods, place of supply of goods are two different states, interstate supply. Location of supplier of service and place of supply of service are two different states, interstate supply. So this is how the decision has to be taken, whether it is an interstate supply of goods or an interstate supply of services. Why? Because after confirming yes, there is a supply, after confirming it is an interstate supply, then only you can go to interstate levy section under IGST. In case if it is going to be an intrastate supply, if you are freezing, then you will go to intrastate levy section. Hope you could able to appreciate that factor. Coming back here, in case of import of goods, in case of import of services, supply of services imported into India, supply of goods imported into territory of India till it crosses the custom frontiers of India, that is the customs barrier. These two transactions always will be interstate supply. Import of goods, import of services, always interstate supply at this moment, because we are all reading at a higher level, a professional course. We have to be aware of certain facts. Recollect your article 269A, wherein which the law comes with a deeming fiction. Import of goods, import of services shall be deemed in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Constitution, Article 269A, can able to refer it two sessions before we discussed. Connect that with this point. Law is very clear. Import of goods, interstate supply. Import of service, always interstate supply. Moving forward. Supply of services, supply of goods or services or both, where supply is located in India and place of supply is outside India. Let me repeat. Supplier is in India, place of supply outside India. Technically, in a simple term, you will call it as what? Export of goods, export of services. So, consciously, let me repeat, consciously they have not coined like that. Maybe when we get into a topic called as export of goods discussion, at that time you will know. For the time being, understand, supplier is in India, place of supply outside India, it would be treated as what? Interstate supply. Again, supply of goods or services or both is to a SEZ or a SEZ developer or a SEZ unit, or by a SEZ developer. From SEZ, goods comes outside, interstate supply. From outside, goods goes to SEZ, either a unit in SEZ or a person who develop SEZ. DLF SEZ means DLF who developed that SEZ. He's a developer. Inside DLF Tech Park, you have IBM. That is a unit in SEZ. So any supply, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm providing some services to a unit inside SEZ, then it will always be treated as what? Interstate supply. Any export activity, any SEZ activity, always will be treated as what? Interstate. Followed by supply of goods, services, or both in taxable territory, not being a intrastate supply. What do we mean by not being an intrastate supply? Where it is not an intrastate supply, it is something like a residual entry, others category. If something is not covered by an intrastate supply, it will be covered by what? Interstate. So that sums up our discussion relating to section 7. Let me come back here. Location of supplier and place of supply. Location of supplier and place of supply are going to be located in 2 different states, 2 different union territory, a state and a union territory. Location of supplier of goods is Andhra Pradesh. Place of supply of goods is Tamil Nadu. Then you will close your eyes and comfortably say it is a correct interstate supply. Location of supplier of service is India. Location of location of supplier of service is India. Place of supply of service is New York. Again, you'll close your eyes. Here we are not referring to state, so this section will not be applicable. It is not import of goods or services, so this section is not applicable. Location of supplier in India, place of supply outside India. Again, it is what? Interstate supply. I am a normal person located in Tamil Nadu. I supply goods to a SEZ inside Tamil Nadu. I am a normal person in Tamil Nadu. I supply goods to a SEZ to a person inside Tamil Nadu. Most critical question. Location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Place of supply, Tamil Nadu. Recipient, location of recipient, Tamil Nadu. But recipient is a SEZ unit. Then intrastate supply, interstate supply. Correct? It would be a interstate supply. This is an exceptional transaction. When you go back to section 7.5, 7.5 will come with the overriding power, notwithstanding anything contained. Okay. So, sir, location of supply, place of supply, same state, no. Correct. But this time you should also concentrate on recipient. If in case your recipient is going to be a SEZ unit or a developer of SEZ, then or a supplier of SEZ. From SEZ, goods goes outside. In all these 3 circumstances, it will be treated as a interstate. Hope you could able to get a comfort understanding of it. If goods comes from Hong Kong to India, again it would be treated as what? Interstate supply. As part of our customs understanding, we will know it will be included. It is. If in case some services we consume from France to India, again it would be treated as interstate. Import of goods, import of services, interstate supply. Supplies to SEZ, interstate supply. Export of goods, interstate supply. Okay. Then sometimes it would not be treated as export of goods or export of services, but location of supplier in India, place of supply outside. When any transaction happen between 2 countries, location of supplier, India, place of supply, again another country. When any transaction happen between 2 countries, generally state government does not have power to tax in a taxation law. Or I'll rephrase it, from the constitutional understanding, from the understanding of how in which Indian constitution is drafted. Whenever any transaction happens with foreign country, always central government has upper hand. Though below Tamil Nadu, the waters belongs to Tamil Nadu. Next, you have a Sri Lankan country. But agreement has to be signed between India, government of India and government of Sri Lanka. It cannot be government of Tamil Nadu and government of Sri Lanka. So that is the way in which you have a difference between both of us. Followed by getting into some more discussions on these aspects. The next part of our aspect is Section 8 of IGST. Section 8 of IGST Act discussed in case of intrastate supply. Opposite of what we discussed. If location of supplier and place of supply, if it is going to be in the same state or union territory, then yes, it would be treated as a intrastate supply. It would be treated as an intrastate supply if location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in the same state. If it is going to be in the same state, then no doubt, if it is going to, it is going to be an intrastate supply. Followed by points for our discussion. In case of intrastate supply, location of supplier and place of supply. If location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in different states, location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in different states, then it would be treated as interstate. If location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in the same state, then it will be treated as intrastate. Now, why I am cautioning you many times is, see, you will come across some of those exceptional transactions when we go to place of supply, when you start learning this law in a more detailed way. Location of supplier is Andhra Pradesh. Place of supply is Andhra Pradesh. Recipient of supply is Maharashtra. Sir, will a transaction like this is possible? Yes. Location of supplier is Tamil Nadu. Place of supply, Tamil Nadu. But recipient is Maharashtra. Sir, is a transaction like this is possible? Fundamentally, come on, when it comes to services transaction, many times it is possible than goods. Services transaction. So that is why I want you to again appreciate a fact. Kindly don't bother about recipient, but for SEZ units. SEZ units is an exceptional discussion. Only bother about location of supplier and place of supply. Both of them same state, close your eyes, intrastate supply. So intrastate supply means section 9 of CGST Act and SGST Act, levy applicable. Okay. For this logic, there are some exceptions. Supply of goods or services to a SEZ unit or by a SEZ unit out from the tax net, which is not, this logic is not applicable. It's an exceptional transaction. Goods imported into India, this logic is not applicable. Services imported into India, this logic is not applicable. Supply of goods to a foreign tourist. In case goods are supplied to a foreign tourist, if in case we are going to supply some goods to a foreign tourist, then this rule is not. Supply of goods or services to a foreign tourist, this rule is not applicable. So, which means in these three transactions, it will be what? Interstate supply. Rest all will be intrastate supply. I only want you to highlight once again the location of supplier of goods, and the place of supply need to be determined as per section 10. Similarly, for services, the place of supply need to be determined as per section 12. So the place of supply need to be determined as per section 10 and 12 for the purpose of determination. So if someone comes out and says you, quickly test yourself. If someone comes out and says you, location of supplier is Maharashtra, place of supply is Tamil Nadu, location of recipient is Tamil Nadu. Transaction will be intrastate supply, interstate supply. Answer yes. But interstate supply, correct. Location of supplier is Tamil Nadu, place of supply Tamil Nadu, location of recipient Andhra Pradesh. Location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply Tamil Nadu, location of recipient alone Andhra Pradesh. It would be what? Say, it would be what? Intrastate supply. Followed by location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply Tamil Nadu, location of recipient Tamil Nadu. Recipient is an SEZ unit. Question will be very specific. SEZ unit at the time. Location of supply, place of supply. The moment you see SEZ, default interstate supply. Supply made by a SEZ unit, supply to a SEZ unit. Import, export, and of course foreign tourist. Always this 4 transaction is a always this 4 transaction is a interstate supply. Make yourself absolutely comfortable. That sums up a complete discussion relating to a topic called as nature of supply in determination of whether it is an intrastate supply or interstate supply. If you were able to observe the last 20 minutes of the discussion more comfortably, I think and now on you can predict, you can say, if you say it, it will be right. That's all. Nothing beyond it. See, sometimes what happens is services or supply of goods has to happen in territorial water. Okay. There would be a ship. To that ship, I have to provide some services. There would be a ship. To that ship, I have to deliver some goods. In those circumstances where the goods or services supplied in territorial waters, how am I going to determine the place of supply? For which they come out and say, in case any supply of goods or services is in territorial waters, the place of supply shall be determined based on which is going to be the nearest port or nearest to the baseline. The port which is nearest to the baseline. From the place where ship is anchored, Vizag port is nearer as compared to Chennai port, then place of supply is Andhra Pradesh. The place where it is anchored, the ship is anchored and services are done or goods happen from that place. Karaikal port is far, Chennai port is near in terms of the nautical miles. Then place of supply is Tamil Nadu. To the contrary, from the place where it is anchored, my Tuticorin port is going to be far and Karaikal port is going to be nearer. Place of supply will be Pondicherry. Can you be able to understand this logic? You can extend this logic so on and so forth. In case of any supply of goods, services that happen inside your territorial water, then only this would be true. Yes, this sums up our complete discussion on a topic called as nature of supply. Let me repeat: nature of supply. 7, 8, 9 of IGST. Section 7, 8, and 9 of IGST Act discuss about nature of supply. In fact, when you know this background, and now when you read your levy section, what do you mean by levy of tax? When tax will be collected? Okay, levy. When? What? Which section gives you power? If you are an intrastate supply, if it is an intrastate supply, Section 9 of CGST Act and Section 9 of SGST Act gives powers to government. If it is going to be an interstate supply, then Section 5 of IGST Act gives powers to tax. Hope you will be able to appreciate. Why nature of supply is important? You know there is a supply and that supply is liable to tax. You will determine nature of supply. By using place of supply, you will determine nature of supply. Once nature of supply is determined, you will know levy, which section to operate, whether it is an intrastate supply or interstate. We will do one thing. We will just have a small whiteboard discussion on this topic. Sorry. Normal levy. See, there are two types of levy. There is something called as normal levy and there is something called as composition levy. Very popularly, you all know section 10 is called as composition levy. Composition levy is applicable only in case of intrastate supply. In interstate supply, we don't have composition levy, but normal levy is present in both the cases, intra and inter. In case of normal levy, or if you are finding that word normal levy is not comfortable to you, okay, levy of GST. Of course, it has to be only a normal levy. Okay, we are not discussing about, because levy of GST include normal levy and composition levy. Okay, we are now discussing only about normal levy, so we are emphasizing only that. Now this normal levy actually has two broader lookouts. This normal levy can be of two broader types. What are those two broader types? When we go back, it could be either a intrastate supply, levy of GST on intrastate supply of goods or services, or it is going to be a levy of GST on interstate supply of goods or services. Hope you could be able to appreciate that fact. Intrastate supply of goods or services. Let me repeat. Intra-state supply of goods or services. Intra-state supply of goods or services, or interstate supply of goods or services, section 5 of IGST Act. Maybe that's most key term there. We put it in brackets. And you're also, that's the most important. Section 9 of CGST and SGST. Wherever you have union territory, it is also covering your union territory. Instead of SGST, sometimes we have that. Sounds good. See, I just want all of you to have that. So, see, this is technically one grip. If you start getting this grip, it's amazing. The kind of knowledge control you will have is amazing. So the levy can be only broadly two types, either an intrastate supply or an interstate supply. When it will be an intrastate supply, again, to be an intrastate supply, it has to be covered by section 8 of your IGST Act. To be an interstate supply, it has to be covered by section 7 of your IGST Act. Hope that lead is also known to you. We can, if you want, I'll just give you that as a lead. Maybe I'll remove this. Section 7, section 8. Section 8 of IGST Act, which comes out and says it is a intra-state supply. Okay. Similarly, Section 7 of IGST Act confirms the said supply is a fundamental understanding that I want all of us to be aware of is because it is a intrastate supply under that section, that is why you are triggering here section 9 of that is where somewhere we are missing. Because it is only a section 7 under interstate supply, section 5 of IGST Act is applicable. Because it is a section 8 of IGST Act under intrastate supply, so this is applicable. Otherwise, it would not be applicable. So you get consensus, I believe now. Done. Now, having said this, so this is broader discussion. Having said this, the last part of discussion, you only have 3 types of people who are liable for tax. Where first type is, I'm not sure will I have space, but I have to live with this space. So let me try it with a given space. See, these levy sections again come out and say the suppliers are liable to pay tax. Supplier of goods, supplier of services, supplier of goods or services is liable to pay tax to government. Let me repeat it. I am not bothering from ultimately from whom money is collected. Ultimately, money will always be collected only from whom? Only from end consumer. But we are now talking who is responsible. If I provide chartered accountancy to my client, am I responsible to government or my client responsible for payment of tax to government? Can you able to understand this question? Verbatim. Is supplier is responsible for paying tax or recipient is responsible for paying tax? Now, why we want to highlight this is there are transactions under GST where the recipient is responsible for paying tax. Recipient of goods or services is liable to pay tax to government. See, this is very, very interesting. Here, supplier will not pay tax. Rather, who will pay tax? Recipient will pay tax. Sir, I am a recipient of goods, sir. That's what we are saying. You are a recipient of a particular notified goods by the government. You are responsible for its compliance. No other option. You cannot get out of those compliance activities. You are responsible for it. We do understand, but again, you are responsible for it. followed by the last category. Apart from supplier and recipient, government somehow identified a new soul by name called as, okay, e-commerce operator. E-commerce operator. E-commerce operator of notified. As of now, this section is applicable only for notified services. They have not extended the larger scope. Government may extend at a future date. As of now, it is applicable only for notified services. So, which means sometimes supplier pay tax, sometimes recipient pay tax, sometimes e-commerce operator pay tax. Which means when supplier pay tax, you will popularly call this as, forward charge mechanism. When recipients pays tax, you will popularly call it as reverse charge mechanism. Okay, people will call with different names. These are all names at which people call, but law does not give any specific name for anything. One is this. Forward charge mechanism means supplier will pay tax. Sometimes it is called as forward charge, sometimes it is also called as regular charge. Okay, regular charge. So different names are there. Then, so very interesting part is below section 9, you have 3 sections which discuss about sometime forward charge, sometime reverse charge, sometime e-commerce operator of a notified service is liable. Below interstate supply. When it is an interstate supply, location of supplier, place of supply, 2 different states. When it is going to be intrastate supply, location of supplier and place of supply is going to be in the same state. Now this diagram would be completed when we connect all these points. Your intrastate supply has section 9 subsection 1 which discuss about forward charge mechanism. Interstate supply has section 9 subsection 3 and subsection 4 to discuss about reverse charge mechanism where a recipient is liable to pay tax, not supplier. If something is covered under reverse charge mechanism, recipient has to pay tax. Supplier is not liable, but for exceptional discussion. When we have an exclusive reverse charge mechanism session, at that time we will deal inch by inch in detail. Coming back here with lot of details. I'm not joking. Very serious. Coming back here, section 9 subsection 5 discusses that in case of certain notified services, e-commerce operator alone is liable to pay tax. Who is not liable to pay tax? Supplier also not liable, recipient also. So how it is possible? When we go back, we will come back here. Again, in case of it is going to be interstate supply. Interstate supply means supplier and recipient are going to be in different places. Then when you ask your supplier to pay tax, then it is what? Forward charge mechanism 5 subsection 1. Followed by reverse charge mechanism in case of interstate supply is going to be 5 subsection 3 and 5 subsection 4. Followed by, in case of e-commerce operator, it is 5 subsection 5. So let me repeat it. This is your complete discussion relating to this. Yes, mark my word. This is a complete sketch of your section 9, 5, how, what reasoning. Like this, if you could able to understand, if you could able to absorb this one sketch, you will be able to understand why you have 3 different moralities. Let me repeat it. Always it is very clear. Maybe if I put this and conclude this discussion, that would be the final point for it. Because of paucity of space, I'm drawing at different location, but you can read it together. A very careful word. One product. One product or one transaction cannot be taxed by all three. Either supplier will pay tax for a transaction or recipient will pay tax. It is not supplier and recipient. No, to the government. See, again, we are discussing only with government. Either supplier will pay tax to government, recipient keep. Recipient will pay tax to government, supplier keep quiet. On certain notified services, both supplier and recipient will keep quiet. Who will pay tax? Somebody who is mediating through information technology by name called as e-commerce operator. That fellow will what? Pay tax to the government. Supplier also will keep quiet, not pay. Recipient also. The moment you said one transaction, it will come here or here or here. All three, it will come. Option button, very clear from a technology perspective. So, can you move forward? That sums up our absolute complete discussion on this diagram. Hope you had a complete grip of this discussion. And see, once you have that complete grip, rest 20 minutes is going to be lollipop to you, where because understand section 9 and section 5 are verbatim section. Once you know intrastate supply, okay, interstate supply, we're going to change the word as interstate supply. But for it, you don't have any special discussions to be made as part of interstate supply. Coming back here, 9.1 levy. Now here, who has to pay tax? First, it is a intrastate supply. All intrastate supply of goods. A person is supplying goods. A person is supplying services. That goods or services is now covered under intrastate supply. We all know what is intrastate supply. Location of supplier, place of supply is within the same state. Intrastate supply. That goods or services is other than liquor and petroleum products. I'm sure we have been repeating this point many times. Liquor and petroleum products are not covered under GST. Liquor will not come at all. Petroleum product currently not forming part of GST taxability or GST levy. Maybe at a future date, it might be form part of your taxable. True. Coming back here, as far as levy is concerned, there would be a tax called as CGST Act. Will be levied on all goods or services or both, other than alcoholic liquor for human consumption, other than petroleum products. Then, on what value it will be declared? Refer section 15, which will come out and say transaction value. The value determined under section 15, tax will be collected. If you say my value of supply is 10,000, on 10,000 tax will be collected. If you say my value of supply is 50,000, on 50,000 tax will be collected. Agree. On that value will be determined. Super. What rate? Maximum rate can be CGST rate. CGST rate. Maximum can be 20%. However, a rate notified by central government in consultation with GST. See, you cannot have all the goods, all the services taxed at a single rate. Maybe India's ultimate dream is that currently we have 4 broader pockets of rate. Just be aware of this information alone. Not much relevant from exam perspective, but for a lot of learning, this information is required. Broader four buckets of rate is 5, 12, 18, 28. There are also some special rates. Ignore them. Prima facie, majority of the products will come 5 in this 4 schedules only. 5, 12, 18, and 28. Now, when we say 5, it is not 5 CGST and 5 SGST. No, it is 2.5 CGST, 2.5 SGST, 5 IGST. 6 CGST, 6 SGST, and 12 IGST. Again, 9 CGST, 9 SGST, 18 IGST. 14 CGST, 14 SGST, and 28 IGST. Why? Because I'm highlighting this. It will strike to us suddenly. No, 28% we have. No, correct, 28%. 28% of what? CGST and SGST together. Individually, CGST can be collected up to 20%. Beyond that is not possible. Followed by not possible. Cancer, I want to levy 25%. That is why many state governments are not interested. State governments are not interested in bringing petrol into GST. If they bring petrol into GST, maximum they can tax is only 20%. Currently, every state government on an average is taxing more than 28%. 28%. So if they come and take a state like Tamil Nadu, 33, Andhra Pradesh, 34, Bangalore, 33, 33.5, something like that. The lowest fellow is Pondicherry, 28. See, why I want to highlight this? Everybody is more than 20. Nobody wants 20 here. That is the reason also why petroleum products are brought in. Another challenges and all there. But first challenge, I will see a revenue fall if I come in. Already my revenues are stepping down. Now, if I get in and all, it will be very difficult. Now, come back here at a broader discussion. My supply should be a intrastate supply of all goods or services. On the value, I am liable to pay tax. Maximum rate is 20% for CGST alone, like that 20% for SGST. That rate for my product will be notified by government when I have to pay tax. Tax will be paid in the manner prescribed as per section 12 for goods and 13 for services, which is very popularly called as time of supply. For all of you, the lead is here. To know intrastate supply, you should know what? Place of supply. To pay tax, you should know value of supply. To know pay tax when, you should know time of supply. Okay. So your next few topics, which are all aligned the next one after the other, lead is here itself. This section only gives power. So, and the tax shall be paid by the taxable person. So taxable person is going to be a supplier who pays tax. So if he is engaged in intrastate supply of goods or services other than liquor for human consumption and other than petroleum product, on the value determined as per section 15, on the rate notified by central government in consultation with GST Council, the maximum rate shall not exceed 20%. On the time determined as per section 12 and 13, the respective GST would be paid by the supplier. So levy of GST on supplier, if a person satisfy all this, he is liable to pay GST. So there is a forward charge mechanism. Every goods, every services, if it is going to be a intra-state supply, other than these two products, are liable for GST. This juncture, it is worth to note why petroleum products are excluded. We have a specific section which comes out and says petroleum products are not covered. Petroleum products are not at all covered under GST. As far as those petroleum products are concerned, government is very clear that in case of these transactions, petroleum products, preferably these 5 products: crude oil, petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas. These 5 products on the date notified by GST Council, on the date notified on the recommendations of GST Council, it would be levied. Often people ask this question, why petrol is not included? Why petrol is not? Very simple answer is, if you include petroleum products, then this 20% is not sufficient for the state governments. State government want more money. Currently, state governments are collecting more money. 2, government was not sure at the time of implementation how much GST revenues are going to be. Government predicted one number. Government thought it would be roughly about 8 lakh crores. But in the first year itself, it surpassed. But on the second year, it's got stabilized. And the third year, we had the pandemic and it is all juggling. So, government is not in a mood to bring crude oil. As of now, with the petroleum product, this 5 products is kept outside. Very near future, in my humble view, very near future, it was about to come into the GST sometime during October 2019. The sentiments were all on, but somehow government announced this policy for motor vehicle Bharat 6 standard. See, after Bharat 4, again, what is this emission control vehicle? You see behind the vehicle, Bharat 6, Bharat 3, Bharat 4, we have these standards for the vehicle. Emission norms. After 4, India was opting 4 till 2019. Suddenly we skipped one version and we went to 6, which means your carbon emission has to be as low as possible. And the vehicle has to be as more environment friendly as possible. So this resulted in a complete overoiling of the assets by the respective car manufacturing company and a dip in the sale of them and various other automobile challenges coming into picture. Already huge models, old models are all people not interested. Day in, day out, various models comes in, X, Y, Z reason. This industry is facing challenges. Plus this one challenge, government was not in a mood to take up during October, November, December of 2019. 18. After that, again, meltdown, that slowdown was recognized. After that, again, pandemic. So, it's now a long history. Okay. My view is maximum another 1 year. 1 year it will be like this. 1 year it will be like this because all state governments will not agree because of the pandemic. State government revenues have been affected in a very great way. You cannot imagine. Just I'll share you some statistics. Maybe the statistics is the statistics belonging for the financial year 17-18, officially released by the Tamil Nadu state government. Tamil Nadu state government's revenue collections for Tamil Nadu alone, 75,000 crores. That's all revenue, sir. Yes. Through SGST, share of IGST, plus VAT on petroleum products and liquor. When we add all this, 75,000 crores. 34,000 crores comes from petrol and liquor. Sir, balance 36,000 crores, sir, roughly. 36,000 crores comes from all the other goods and services. Now you will understand why it is important. Sir, within that, from liquor, it is 13,000 crores. 20,000 crores, one product, petroleum products. Do you think if you are the state CM, will you allow it bring it into GST? Okay. See, this is in one of the highly producer state, one of the top 10, I would not say top 10, it's not wise to say, top 5 producer states in India. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, third, straight away third. One of the top 3 producer states of this top 5, okay, in terms of today's number changes over the last 2 years. Now, top 5 producer state, one of these states, 20,000 crores comes from one product. Okay. Do you think state government will come, put it in GST? No, it will never happen. These are all some fundamental facts. Why? Because for all of us, this question is begging. Why GST is not there in petrol? Why liquor there is not petrol? I think I've already clarified. Come what may, even clouds comes to land, land goes to clouds. You cannot levy it because constitutionally you don't have power. Constitutionally, power to tax liquor is always with state government. So, pardon me for this language. If you could able to understand, I'm sorry, certain things in certain language, if we so say only, it will go. Kattallaye illaya. Okay. I am always fond of this gentleman. Okay. So, it is not there in the sea. That's what I can interpret. Okay, what I have told. If you get it, okay. But it goes only there in that language. Now, in any case, my crux discussion is 9.2. Similarly, you will have a 5.2. 9.2. Purpose is this. In case of these 5 products, GST would be applicable only from a date which is notified by the government. Sir, until that day, if you manufacture petroleum products, central government will levy excise duty. If you sell petroleum products, state government will levy that. It will go on. Other than this product, all are covered under GST. Moving forward. 9.3. A new model is getting proposed. What is this new model? A model by name called as reverse charge mechanism. What do we mean by reverse charge mechanism? Normally, generally, usually, suppliers are liable to pay tax to government. The person who is responsible. If tax is not paid, whose collars will be snatched? If tax is not paid, government will come and catch hold of, always of supplier of a goods, supplier of a services. However, government has mentioned in case of certain notified goods and notified services, being it a intrastate supply, location of supplier, place of supply within the same state, that goods or services is notified for a reverse charge, then the respective recipient of the goods or services is liable to pay tax as if he is a person liable to pay tax in relation to supply of that goods or services. As if he is a supplier, he has to pay tax. Who actually paying tax? Recipient. Sir, I'm not able to get your brushed up. Nothing. First, it should be a intrastate supply of what? Of goods or services which are notified by government. Do we have any notified goods, notified services? Yes, we have. When it comes to goods, cashew nut, BD leaf, tobacco, raw cotton, lottery ticket, used vehicles, and few others. In case of these products, there is a supplier, there is a recipient. Okay. Supplier is not liable to pay tax. Who's liable to pay tax? Recipient is liable to pay tax. Individually, we will take each entry and discuss separately in a topic called as reverse charge mechanism, which comes next. Okay. There we will get into lot of detail. Okay. Now, broadly at a macro level, understand these are the goods notified. For these goods, if certain conditions are satisfied, generally, who will not pay tax or who is not liable to pay tax? Suppliers are not liable to pay tax. Who is liable to pay tax? Recipient is liable to pay tax. Similarly, for certain notified services, it could be good transport agency, advocate services, sponsorship services, services provided by a company, services provided by government, services provided by insurance agent, recovery agent, composer of a music, or services by a builder, or it is going to be services by a landowner to builder, or it is going to be original works. direct selling agent, all are there. You don't be bothered about it. Don't break your head. We have specific discussion exclusively on services, which lined up next, which is going to be on a topic called as reverse charge mechanics. Under this head, more than 3 hours we have discussed, where we are going to discuss exclusively on this topic alone. At least 3 hours I have proposed to discuss for this. So if this be the situation, come back. So with this background, come back. It is an advocate services. Very simple. After reading this reverse charge, supplier will not pay tax. Supplier is whom? Advocate. Recipient is whom? The respective commercial organization. Commercial organization is liable to pay tax to government under reverse charge. For that, if advocate and place of supply is in the same state, intrastate supply, correct? Or same supply. Can we move forward? Yes. So in case of notified goods or notified services, we have another type of reverse charge called as, earlier you saw what only notified goods and notified services. No, here 3 things will come into this. The latest amended entry. Notified class of person, notified category of goods or services. Sir, what is the difference between 9.3 reverse charge and 9.4 reverse charge? Only one difference. In 9.3 reverse charge, it is a reverse charge on notified goods and services. 9.4 reverse charge, it is a reverse charge on notified person, notified goods, notified services. End of the day, recipient of the goods, recipient of service is liable to pay tax under reverse charge. Okay, an exclusive discussion on this we have. At that time, we will take it up in a detailed way. Now, for the time being, understand that as a recipient of service, sometime a person is liable to pay tax to GST department. Maybe he will be selling the goods which are all exempted. Under forward charge, he is not liable, 9.1. Under forward charge, he may not be liable. I can give you hundreds of examples. I know a client who is selling land. Land is not liable to GST. But before you develop and sell land, you buy land. When you buy land, you will take an opinion from an advocate. Then for that, you will pay a fees to the advocate. Let's say 50,000 rupees is paid to advocate. At that time, any services provided by an advocate is covered under reverse charge. Sorry. Covered under reverse charge. So who has to pay tax? That individual company who sell land. Sir, I'm selling land. No, correct. You don't pay tax on your outward supply. I'm not asking you tax on your outward supply. But on the inward supply, I'm requesting you to pay tax. This is how the difference that need to be understood. This is an exclusive discussion. If you have too much of curiosity, I'll break your curiosity. The notified class of person is a person who is a construction industry. When we go to reverse charge, at that time we will deal in detail. Coming back here, 9.5 of CGST. Now, a new section, as I earlier highlighted, no doubt it is an intrastate supply. E-commerce operator is in Tamil Nadu. Sorry, not e-commerce. Supplier of service is in Tamil Nadu. Place of supply is Tamil Nadu, but tax is going to be paid by e-commerce operator. In this circumstance, we have already discussed this section is not applicable for goods. This section is applicable only for services. Take an example of prior to pandemic, which we usually used to do. We will book a Ola Uber taxi. When you book a Ola taxi, when you book a Uber taxi, what happens? You are a supplier or recipient? It's a recipient. Cab operator is a supplier or recipient? Supplier. Then you both are connected by somebody, correct? When it comes to e-commerce operator, the e-commerce operator is the person who connects the supplier and the recipient. In fact, some of those e-commerce operators are all new startup. They have a company of their own, everything. it is easy for the government to collect tax from those organized sector. In fact, this also you can keep it as a point when we discuss section 9.3 and 9.4, but don't apply it verbatim. Okay. Somehow the government wants to shift the tax compliance burden, not the tax burden, I would say, because any case the recipient is going to pay, but tax compliance burden from a supplier to recipient. For that reason only they brought in this reverse charge 9.3, because many people are against this reverse charge. But understand, you have to appreciate certain facts. Insurance agent in India, we have roughly about 20 lakh agents, 20 lakh agents. We have only 20 insurance company. It is easy to collect tax from 20 lakh agents or 20 insurance company. Any case, this agent is going to pay to government under forward charge. They are going to collect from insurance company. End of the day, who's going to pay tax to insurance agent apart from giving commission, respective insurance company? Then why not ask him to come? Those are the points. Those are the exact finer points. Exact finer points are all these around. Now, the whole idea here of the government is compliance burden. Why to give the tax compliance burden? Because already GTA, lorry fellow, advocates or business entity. No, sir, his advocate community is unorganized sector. See, there are number of peoples are huge. So I'm just giving you that not as a main content, as a supplementary content to you for just to give a thought to it. Why? Here, lot of service providers or cab operators are all unorganized fellow. Today he drive cab, tomorrow he will not drive cab. In this background, suppliers are also unregulated. Customers are also unregulated. Only one fellow above there, what, e-commerce operator. Ask him to pay tax. Is it for all services? No. Specified category of services. For the specified category of services, if it is an intrastate supply, the respective e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax under his e-commerce operator has to pay tax. Don't say forward charge, don't say reverse charge. Forward charge means supplier will pay tax. Reverse charge means recipient will pay tax. You keep mum on these words and say e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax. Okay. So a levy can be only 3 types as we discussed. I think that now this diagram looks more comfortable to us. Hope you could able to see the complete diagram. A levy intrastate supply can be only 3 types. Either you ask your supplier to pay tax on forward charge mechanism, notified goods, notified services, you will ask your recipient to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. On specified services, you will ask your e-commerce operator to pay. Just 3 services. Only on these 3 services. What are those specified 3 services? When we go back to that discussions associated with it. As far as specified 3 services are concerned, first service, transportation of passengers by radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab or motorcycle. What is this radio taxi? Every taxi has a radio. Any taxi, word defined under motor vehicle, any taxi which is connected with GPS or GPRS connectivity is called as radio taxi, which means in short, Ola, Uber or any of those red taxi or any of those taxi that are all operated through a model of an aggregator is going to be covered. When there is a model of aggregator, through a model of aggregator, it is going to be captured. Yes, it is going to be covered. But so coming back here, points for our discussion. E-commerce operator. As far as e-commerce operator is concerned, e-commerce operator, as far as this liability of an e-commerce operator is concerned, e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax on the following service, where any services by way of transportation of passengers by a radio taxi, Ola or Uber, then supplier of service will not pay tax, recipient of service will not pay tax. E-commerce operator who connects both supplier and recipient through an information technology software that e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax. That sums up our discussion relating to your first entry. Similarly, any services provided by a hotel in guest house, club, campsite, that service is covered with a condition, except when the person supplying these services through e-commerce operator is liable for registration under GST. So, two things. OIO has connected with an unregistered person providing hotel accommodation services. OIO has connected with a person who is providing registered person providing some hotel services. If OIO is the e-commerce operator, when they connected to unregistered person, at that time OIO is liable to pay tax. When OIO is connected with your OIO is connected with your registered person, then the tax will be paid only by the registered person. That is the final takeaway for it. Because this logic of providing, registered and unregistered will be applicable on two services: housekeeping, plumbing, carpenting, those services, plus your hotel accommodation services. In nutshell, three services of e-commerce operators are covered: radio taxi, Ola, Uber, all this, that taxi, followed by your hotel accommodation and housekeeping services. For both housekeeping and hotel accommodation services, if the supplier of these services is a registered person, supplier will pay tax under forward charge. If the supplier of service is going to be a unregistered person, then the e-commerce operator will pay tax. Can you able to understand this logic? If supplier registered, supplier will pay tax. Sir, I am a taxi operator, I am registered. In case of taxi, this option itself is not always e-commerce operator liable. Can you able to understand the difference of these three? Transportation of passengers, only e-commerce is liable. In case of hotel accommodation services, if that hotel is registered, hotel will pay tax under forward charge, e-commerce will not pay tax. Hotel is not registered, then e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax on that said transaction. Same in the case of housekeeping services. This sums up your discussion on intrastate supply. Similarly, verbatim, without change in any word, you would not say without change in word. With the change in two words, you will see interstate supply moving. The only difference between 9.1 and 5.1 is interstate supply. If it is an intrastate supply, levy will trigger from 9.1. If it is an interstate supply, levy will trigger from what? 5.1 of all goods services, other than what? Alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petroleum products. One more aspect, in case of import of goods, it is covered by, IGST. However, that IGST on import of goods will be collected as part of Customs Act. Can you able to appreciate this discussion? In case goods are going to come from foreign country, import of goods collected by Customs Department under Customs Act. When we go to Customs subject, at that time we will also know that there is a small addition that will be made. When it is, now don't be much bothered about it. In case of interstate supply means what? Location of supplier in state 1, place of supply is in state 2. Then it will be treated as interstate supply. Interstate supply, not a notified goods or services, then what will be applicable? Forward charge. True? Yes. Value as per section 15, maximum rate will be, rate of IGST will be notified by central government. Maximum rate will be 40%. Sir, here alone 40%. Come on. There, central government 20%, state government 20%, resulted in what? 40%. Here interstate supply, only one government have power to tax, so all will be what? 40%. I think this logic and all you can understand by yourself. Tax will be collected in the manner prescribed as per time. Sir, what I learned new? Nothing you learned new, except for few words. 40% rate of tax can be maximum. This section is applicable only in case of interstate supply. Maybe this is a supplementary discussion where IGST on import of goods will be collected as part of customs. Sir, IGST on import of services under section 5. Supply of goods or services from state A to state B is place of supply, 5(1), forward charge. In case, sir, I engage an advocate, that advocate is in Delhi and place of supply is in Tamil Nadu. Location of supplier Delhi, place of supply Tamil Nadu. In that case, sir, very simple. In that case, it is an interstate supply. Again, reverse charge. Only thing is, 9(3) is not applicable. 5(3) is applicable based on the recommendations of central government on certain notified goods and services. There is a tax payable under reverse charge by the recipient of goods or services. What are the goods or services? No difference in the goods, but notification number alone change. That is a notification issued under the central government, CT. This is a notification issued under integrated tax, IT. That is central tax, CT. This is integrated tax, IT. Sir, any products changed? No. No change. Sir, when it comes to services, absolutely no change, but for what is there in green. Import of service, as it is a IGST transaction, it is covered. Again, transportation of goods from a place outside India to India, again an IGST transaction, part of it. That is why I blocked it in green. Rest all transactions remain same. We have an exclusive discussion. I am not bringing in that now because otherwise you will lose charm in those special discussions. There is a liability for certain notified services and goods. And also there is a liability on certain person who is notified. Person who is notified. For those person who is notified under GST, yes, this would be. Followed by certain services, e-commerce operator is liable to pay tax. Again, only for those notified services. For goods, it is not applicable. Only for services, it is applicable. Those notified e-commerce operator, they are alone liable to pay tax under reverse charge. They are alone liable to pay. Sorry, not reverse charge. Sorry. Neither the supplier of service will not be liable to pay tax, nor the supplier of goods will be paying tax. It's only the e-commerce operator who is going to pay tax, again in relation to transportation of goods, providing of accommodation, housekeeping. Sir, when this will be applicable? See, this is rare. In my view, this is rare. Where e-commerce operator is located in another state and supplier is in another state, but place of supply is in another state. E-commerce operator and supplier is in state 1. Place of supply state 2. Then interstate supply. And the transaction is covered by e-commerce operator activities. At that time, it will come, but it is rare. Let me repeat, I am not saying it is not possible. Rare. Why? Because every e-commerce operator will have registration in the state. They will get connected only suppliers of same state. They will not do things with other state. And for other state transactions, internally they have defined how it has to be happened. So in my view, it's rare, but just as an academic discussion, you can read through it, but from a practical end, I don't foresee a great understanding associated. So this sums up our discussion relating to a complete discussion on levy under GST, more specifically normal levy. Here on the reverse charge discussion starts, that we will take it up in our next session when we are going to sit and discuss about it. So at this level, I'm signing off for the day. Thank you all for effective and patient listening. Thank you.